Well, hello everyone. Welcome to It's Just Andrew edition of the Missing Wolves post game podcast live stream thing. My guest tonight was going to join me, but then a bunch of Wolves Twitter friends, family, Wolves Twitter family, I think that's probably the apt term, got together, went to the game tonight, and no hard feelings because good Lord, that was a ugly, terrible basketball game. I wouldn't want to subject anyone to this podcast that, you know, didn't have to be. I mean, 109-87, Detroit kind of beats the brakes off of Minnesota. Honestly, kind of felt like it was a game for a while. I mean, trying to be positive here, they go into halftime. They're down just yeah, 5, I think, going into halftime. Didn't feel terrible, especially given how the Wolves were shooting throughout most of the night. They come out of halftime and it just didn't get any better. Detroit ends up, making that lead into a double-digit lead, and then the fourth quarter, the wheels just kind of came off. I mean, I it's tough to even take anything from a game like this because it was just so bad offensively. Minnesota shoots 27 of 85 overall, 9 of 43 from the 3-point line. I mean, they forced 20 turnovers and only got 12 fast break points. I mean, that nothing was going right for them. And it seemed like pretty much from the start that was kind of the game we were going to be in for. They did shoot a little better in the first quarter, 40% from the floor, 30% from three. Again, if we're going to like take positives, Rudy looked good in the first quarter. Julius, I know it's easy to forget now that we saw the rest of the game, but had a pretty good first quarter. And they kind of go into the second quarter, down 9, but or yeah, down 9, but not like an insurmountable lead. And for kind of how the Wolves played, it kind of felt like maybe it was a little bit better. Second quarter, Dante starts to get going a little bit. Still was just an ugly shooting game. I mean, Dante has 11 in the second quarter, but shot 8 shots to get there. And it just every time like the Wolves would get someone open, whether it was Mike Conley, TJ, Nas, anytime someone would get a breath of daylight, even Bones, it was just a wild miss. I mean, not even particularly close. Second quarter, Wolves shoot 29% from the floor and 15%, 2 for 13 from 3. But again, again, if we're going to try and take something from it, their defense was fine. Detroit also down a couple players. They held them to 49 points on just 45% shooting after the first half of play. And I think again, you're looking at a Wolves team of like, well, that was a terrible first half, but they're only down 5. Let's see what the third quarter brings. Again, third quarter, just not ideal as my dogs are squeaking toys in the background. I hope everyone loves that, but just not ideal. 2 for 9 from 3. The team talked about turnovers quite a bit after the game, but like honestly, they only had 14. Like that's not the reason they lost. The reason they lost is just for whatever reason they couldn't get any type of flow, any type of offense. We asked Finch, like, does he think it was like a physicality thing? Finch is like, we didn't really get out physical. Like, again, they kind of held their own for over half of the game. I mean, my read on it is just everyone has their breaking point. Farah brings up in the chat that Nas had to have one of his worst games as a Wolves in a Wolves jersey. Like, yeah, comes in, bricks his first 2 threes, struggling to get anything going, ends up not having a good game at all. Bringing his stats up here, right, real quick. Finishes with 8 points on 3 of 15 shooting. All 3 of his makes were from 2. He went over 7 from 3-point range. Like, that's just kind of the night. And I think when you're, playing good defense the first half and the first little bit of the third quarter, and you're really getting into guys and you're focused and rotating and playing hard, and then you go to the other side of the floor and you get an open look and then you just brick it. I think everybody only has so much like mental bandwidth that they can like that they could kind of tolerate that. And I think towards the middle of the third quarter, you just kind of saw like guys weren't committing as much on defense. There's a couple possessions in the third quarter where Julius just gets the ball, goes into the paint, like desperately trying to get to the free throw line, ended up getting there a couple times, but then, you know, kind of misses on a fadeaway in the third. Fourth quarter was pretty similar, where it's just didn't feel like there was any connectivity on the offensive side. Julius was trying to force things. I think a lot of times it got into like Dante's or Mike's hands, and they're just kind of shooting up a three, hoping. Again, going back to Nas, like Finch's quote after the game is, it felt like he was just trying, kind of praying for something to go in with, like, which, like, if you watched the game, it felt that way. Like the last Nas rotation, it felt like he was just sitting there going like, please, anything go in the basket, which again, people only have like so much kind of, you know, so much like mental toughness before it just gets frustrating, and then you kind of throw your hands up. And I credit to Detroit, they didn't shoot particularly better throughout the entire game, but they were doing some of the easy things that I think Wolves fans have been frustrated about all season. Like Rudy misses a layup, Jalen Duren gets the ball, throws it up to Thompson, and Thompson is already at the Wolves free throw line about to hit a layup. And the only guy that has a chance is Mike, and Mike is just like, please don't squish me. Couple other I mean, it was just that was kind of the story of the game, is Detroit was able to give themselves easy opportunities and easy looks. Meanwhile, the Wolves, it just looked like everything was difficult, like everything. Even to the point where it's like, I think TJ had it on a fast break at one point and like shoveled it to Bones, and Bones like bricked a three off the heel. And it's like TJ could have just drove in and like probably got a layup. It's just not an ideal game. So kind of what I'm taking away from it is defense looked good again for the first 2.5 quarters until that kind of tipping point happened. And outside of that, not much. Burn the tape. Hope that you don't have a game where Ant, Io, and Jaden are all sitting, and then Bones, Julius, and Nas all have collectively terrible games. And the only guy that had anything going was Dante. And it's like Dante can't get that going. Um, Farah brings up, I mean, we've been talking about it quite a bit this year, but just like the move of Julius in the offseason, decision making isn't good. Shot selection's awful. Continue to see these games by Julius starting to feel normal. I do like, let's be honest. Like, Ant, I think what we've learned in this time without Ant is that this team on offense can't have two ISO heavy dominant players. If it's just Julius, it works fine when everybody's healthy. I mean, that's how they beat Boston. That's how they won their last game. I mean, when it is just Julius and he is the only heliocentric ISO guy, it works good enough. When it's just Ant and there's no Julius, we saw it last season when Julius missed time. We've seen it when Julius is on the bench this season. When it's just Ant, it works pretty fine. Like, there's not 30% usage guys out there that a third of their plays are ISOs. It just, everyone feels more involved. When you feel involved on offense, you get back a little easier on defense. You can give Rudy that extra chance to try and dunk a ball or kick it into the third row, because like, you're not worried that if you pass it to Rudy, you're not going to touch the ball again for like 4 minutes. Like, it's just, I think that's one of the things I've learned from this is it just, you can't have both. You can't have two guys that are that ball dominant and then have a cohesive offense that's clicking on all cylinders. So then it comes down to, can Julius take a step back and become more of an off-ball player, still stay engaged on defense? It hasn't really been his game. Like, I see the tweets from fans saying, please, dear God, Julius, don't shoot another three. Like, has not been a good spot up shooter this year. He kind of needs the ball in the paint. He kind of needs to get that full head of steam when he's driving. Like, I don't know if that'll work. I think last year in the playoffs, kind of watching some of that stuff back over the last couple weeks, just to kind of like what's different. Ant was a little less hero mode. Like I do think Ant took a little bit of a backseat to Julius in the playoffs last year. And Julius was more of kind of the conductor and the engine, and Ant was just picking his spots when Julius wasn't in the game, hyper aggressive, that type of stuff. So, can you afford, if you're the Wolves, to have Ant take a step back like that in the playoffs for the betterment of the team? I would argue that's probably not a great idea because Ant has been such a gifted scorer this year that, like, if he is not your main guy, like, what's happening? But that's kind of where they're at this season. So far at a year point, or fair at a year point, that kind of means this offseason there something has to give, which again, you look at the assets opening up: 2033 first round pick, 2032 pick swap. After the draft, they can trade this year's first round pick swap from Detroit. Whoever they pick, they can trade, that is. And Julius makes like $30 million. So I think you look at all of that and it's like, well, if you packaged a first round pick, a pick swap, this year's first round pick, and Julius, and then let's just say they throw in like TJ to get to $40 million with like the first round pick and maybe some like cap holds or whatever. Let's say if that's your main package coming out, then I think you're just kind of looking at like, what can we bring in that's different? Which I know the point guard is always something that's going to be brought up. Like, I do think there is a lot of truth in like having a like point guard next to Ant, like Mike Conley can't do it anymore. I think we've seen the benefit of Kyle Anderson being a quote unquote point guard, like just being able to say, like, I'm not shooting tonight. Like, let's get everyone else involved. Like, I do think there is some value on this current iteration with Julius. But like, if they were to move Julius for a guy that's like 18% usage instead of 30 and runs 5% ISO instead of 33% ISO, maybe that guy just fits better. So I know, I think it was Tim Garrison was on here a couple weeks ago, brought up DeJounte Murray. Like, maybe he finishes the season healthy, you take a chance on him. If the Spurs aren't set on the 3 guard thing, maybe you can pilfer a De'Aaron Fox and reroute Julius somewhere else and reroute something to the Spurs. Like, there will be guys out there. I more think like less of point guard, like the position, and more of just like ball movement connector type. Like, even if you were to trade Julius, put Nas in the starting lineup, and just get like DeJounte Murray, for example. You have DeJounte, Ant, Jaden, Nas, and Rudy as your starting 5. And then you have like Io, Dante, Kyle, if he comes back, and like Johan on the bench. I feel like I'd feel a lot better about that team just because it like makes sense on a basketball court than like this current iteration, which pack mentality brings up Kyrie. Kyrie's another one. I personally really afraid of the injury, his age, that type of stuff. But like, even a 80% Kyrie, putting him next to Ant, where Kyrie can just do Kyrie stuff when Ant is off the floor, and you have, that kind of facilitator, I think would make a world of difference. Pack mentality asks just about bench scoring in this hypothetical. Like, I think if Dante is on the bench and Io's on the bench, I think you're getting enough through them. My concern would be like the wing kind of scoring, or the center type of scoring of like, what could they get in the post? But it's like, also, like, you're gonna have Nas that's playing kind of off and on. I do think like the modern NBA, if you can run 3 guard lineups out there where like Jaden's out there with Nas, and like it's fine. I think it's just like positionally, this team needs to make sense. Like, right now, it's just weird. Skull, Minnesota. I wasn't ignoring your question. Who's my favorite T-Wolves player at all time? It's a good question. I mean, like, mine are all weird because like when I was like in high school and like immediately after I graduated, those were the dark days of the Wolves. So like, I was a huge Kevin Martin guy, really liked Kevin Martin. Rubio, obviously. Um, to be honest, like through most of the Wolves like heyday through the 90s and early to late 2000s, I was more of like a Nets Mavericks fan. So big Dirk guy, Sean Marion, Jason Kidd on the Nets, that is, Kenyon Martin, Kerry Kittles. Still think Jamal McGlure got screwed on that Nets team in the early 2000s. But like Wolves specific, probably like when I was a fan and not as much covering the team, really liked Zach LaVine when he was with the Wolves. Not so much now that he's with the Kings and the Bulls. Cat, as a fan, really enjoyed him. I think it's weird now, like now that I'm in the locker room with them and like doing media stuff, like it's hard to like pick a favorite. But like currently, Jaden, he's just super good dude, really funny. Just always super polite, gives me really good quotes, puts up with all of my nonsense. Um, Getting back to pack mentality, 80% of Kyrie, like, yeah, that's, I mean, if you're getting 80% Kyrie, like, and all you're really giving up is like Julius, TJ, and some picks, might be worth it. And then as you were saying, this game was just bad hoops, too much offense, talent sitting. I mean, uh, it's hard because it's like in the first half of this game, they had so many open looks, like so many open threes that like if they just shot 40%, 35% from three in the first half, they probably just win this game. And we're thinking about it as like, wow, the Wolves just took down the Pistons without three of their top six guys. Unfortunately, they could not hit a shot and then it just goes out the window. So that's why I'm kind of just in this like just burn it down. Like just burn the tape. Let's move on to the next one. Can't be as bad as this next time. Like let's just see what kind of presents itself next on the schedule. I do think it's a frustrating loss because again, this team's fifth in the West. You win this game against the Pistons, you're giving yourselves at least like an outside chance to get to LA in the 3 seed, and then maybe you're playing Houston in the first round instead of Detroit. So like it is another game where it's just like they if they just shot better, they go home with this win. And I mean Detroit's offense wasn't really doing anything. So again, it's frustrating. As it stands, still the 5 seed, though. I think now they are, yeah, standings has them a full 3 below the Lakers. So, like, picking up 3 games with 9 left, you'd probably have to go like 8-1, and the Lakers would have to go like Lakers have the tiebreakers, so they would have to go 4-5 if the Wolves went 8-1, and you have to assume that the Nuggets play and go like gosh, like 6-3 or worse. Like that's just a tough mountain to climb at this point. Which now it kind of goes into what if you're the Wolves, and I guess like people in the chat, feel free to answer it too. Like, would you rather have the Wolves dip down to the 6 and get the Lakers in the first round and not have home court? Or would you rather have them fight for the 4th and get the Nuggets in the first round? Because I still feel like the Lakers don't match up very good against the Wolves. Like every game I can kind of, looking back on them, I can kind of point to like a different weird thing that happened. Like you have the Austin Reeves game winner, you have the game without Ant, you have the DeAndre Ayton like legacy game for some reason. Like it's been weird every time. And I don't know how sustainable weird is in a 7-game series. And I think when you have a very old at this point LeBron, you have kind of a hit or miss score in Reeves, Ayton, who kind of shows up maybe once every 3 games, not a ton of bench, and then you have Luka. I think I would take the Lakers. Pack mentality says same. Don't love the idea of playing Joker. That's kind of why I think I would take the Lakers, because the Nuggets, if they do get full health into the playoffs, and I mean, Jokic just crushes Gobert. And this season has been kind of a shift back to, the last 2.5 years, the Wolves have kind of owned the Nuggets, so to say. This season, it's been different. Like the Nuggets are just a lot more. I shouldn't even say a lot more anything. Like the Nuggets just have Jokic. Like the dude, just the last game they played, he just single-handedly kind of dismantled them. So it is it is one of those things where I think I would take the Lakers. I mean, they have a 4.5 game lead over the Sun. The Wolves have a 4.5 game lead over the Suns. So you're not really in danger of falling into that 7 spot unless like the Suns go 9-0 and the Wolves go like 2-7, I think would be the math on that. Like I'm almost to like, don't tank games, but like give Ant, give Io, give Nas, give Jaden, like give Mike. I mean, that guy looked like he was about to die tonight. I asked him after the game, by the way. I was just like, how are you feeling? And he's just like, terrible. I feel terrible. So like that guy's needs some days off now too. I think it's just focus on getting in there healthy and just hope for the best. I'm going to throw us over to a couple ad reads though, and then we'll get back to it. If anyone has questions or anything in the chat, I'm solo, so I'm more than happy to answer whatever. But first, ads. Well, hello. Thank you, live stream Andrew. This is Ad Read Andrew. And today we have Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, the presenting sponsor for the Missing Links podcast. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling strives to inspire people to follow their ideas, working with respect and understanding to create a quality, tailored result. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, located in Blaine and serving in the North Metro area, is here to help you with your building and remodeling needs. I can say personally, thanks to Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, I have a beautiful deck in my backyard and countless projects that I started, they finished. Get started on your new deck or remodel today by calling Isaac at 763-710-5686. And we're back with another ad read. This time for Pence Homes, the presenting sponsor of Hitting the Hardwood Network. From the best tools and technology to transparency throughout the entire process, Nate Pence and the Pence Homes team is the top choice for buyers, sellers, and is proud to support you and your home ownership goals. Get started today by calling 612-308-1122 or by emailing info@pencehomes.com. Pack Mentality says, sit everyone out, full Utah method. Like that's kind again, they're in this spot where they might be able to catch Utah. Like they're a game and a half behind Utah. They would need some luck at this point because Utah is a really good team. But like, if you're the Wolves and like after this loss to the Pistons, because if they beat the Pistons, then I think you got to keep riding this hot wave. I mean, they're what, 3-5, 5-2 in their last 7, and they've won 4 without Ant. Like, I think if you're looking at this and it's like, if they beat Detroit, then it's like, all right, let's just keep riding this. Let's see where we can get in seeding. But now that you've lost to the Pistons, you have at Dallas, at Detroit, at 76ers all next week. And then you get to come back home for a 1-game Hornets. And then it's at Indiana, at Orlando, at Houston, finish the season against the Pelicans. Like, think if you're looking at the standings now, it's like, can we just go 4-5? Solidify the 5 seed, let's say, by going 4-5, which is wild, but that's kind of what they'd need to do, and go in with everyone healthy. That means like give Rudy a night or 2 off, let Ant take as long as he needs to. I know he's cleared for basketball activities now, but like if he needs the whole road trip to feel right, like ice him, get Nas's shoulder and like his ankle feeling good, get Jaden's knee or whatever it is feeling good, Io's calf, like anyone that's dealing with anything. Like if you can take the next 2.5 weeks and just get everyone healthy, that would probably be my play. Like if I was Tim Connolly or Chris Finch or in that locker room, that's probably what I'd be saying is like, we don't need to win every single game. Let's just make sure every single person is healthy going into whatever seed or playoff we're going into. I mean, get Johan some minutes, get TJ some minutes, see if he can get Jalen a little bit better shooting. Like, Again, I understand the playing Mike from, if they win this Pistons game, like they can conceivably keep kind of forging forward and maybe get that 3 seed and then have home court, avoid OKC in the first or in the second round of the playoffs. Like I understand that thinking. And I do think like keeping rotations, like when you have a guy like Mike that you can just throw into the first or into the starting lineup, and you don't have to mess with Bones minutes, and when he comes in, you don't have to mess with any of that stuff. Like that's ideal, right? Now that they're kind of stuck where they are, I do wonder if, as pack mentality says, pick a limb and sit out. Like I think that's where I would go, because if this team isn't going into the playoffs healthy, like if they're down Jaden, I don't know where they go. Like, if you're down Jaden, who plays upper 30s in minutes every night and guards the opposing team's best player, and now you're playing Io, Dante, and Ant in the starting lineup, like I don't know if they beat Denver. Like that's a tough task. I don't know if they beat the Lakers if that's the case. Same with Ant. If he's out, I don't know where they go. If Julius is actually dealing with something, like it gets a lot tougher. So I guess what I would kind of say, and what you guys are kind of hinting at, is like don't be surprised if there's some weird lineups that come out in the next 2.5 weeks. Don't be surprised if this team does go on a little bit of a slump, or if they lose like every game on this road trip, and then everyone's healthy and they use the last 5 or 6 games to just get right before the playoffs and like blow people out. They're in just a really weird situation, because they're one of the few teams that kind of has their destiny set. Again, anything can happen, but like the odds of Phoenix leapfrogging them at this point are crazy. The odds of them moving up to 3 are crazy. So uh, get healthy. Um, Farah brings up, kind of going back to the Julius Ant debate of like having two, you know, ISO heavy players, just saying what Kyrie did for the Mavs is what the Wolves need. Took a backcourt facilitator, became a playmaker. Then when they needed him to score, he was doing it at a high level. That's exactly what he did in the 5 game series that we had against them 2 years ago as the Wolves. Like he figured out a spot. He figured out like, all right, Luka's going to run most of this. I'm going to get open shots. I'm going to do hustle things. When Luka's off the floor, I'll kind of get myself going. But like when Luka's on the floor, I'm just going to be out here to be a quite literally an old fashioned point guard, trying to get everybody on the team feeling involved. Lucas sits, he gets himself going. And then at the end of the game, if Kyrie feels he has a mismatch, he's, felt a little bit of consistency, a little bit of rhythm from playing without Luka in those minutes, and then calls his own shots. I think with Julius and Ant right now, I think, again, like last year, Ant kind of did that in the playoffs, was just like, Julius, go bowl people over. I'll be here cheering you on. And I think this year, everyone kind of sees that like Ant is so clearly the better offensive player, that like you almost need Julius to take that back seat. But also Julius has never really had to do that a whole lot in his career. It's just it gets tricky. Like, how do you get a guy to move off his tendencies? Julius obviously like still wants to try and get himself going so he can help out in wins. If you're getting nothing from Julius, you probably don't have a chance to win. But like I think it's easier when you have two guys that are like not at the same position, but like you look at like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Like Tatum right now is going, hey, JB, you did this all year. You keep doing your thing. I'm going to just be over here. I'm going to shoot threes. And when you're not in the game, I'm going to do my thing. But when JB's in the game, Jason Tatum's off to the side. You look at like Chris Paul and James Harden. Chris Paul, I mean, there's a reason he got traded to OKC for like Russell Westbrook and like a refill of Gatorade. He was he appeared to be terrible in Houston. But a lot of that was because it was like when he's on the floor with James Harden, Chris Paul was standing off to the side, kind of saying like, okay, you do your thing. I'll be over here. I'll get myself going when you're out of the game. Didn't work as well for CP3, had to go back to OKC, rehab, go to Phoenix, rest is history. But like I do think it's easier when it's not like a post player and a guard. Like I think it's just easier to kind of get that hierarchy set. I also think it's easier when the guys are around the same age. Like Chris Paul, again, the Luca and Kyrie example, like Kyrie's a little bit older than Luca, like 6 or 7 years older than Luca, so that's maybe the exception to it, but like a lot of times you do just need a guy to just take the back seat, and normally it's kind of naturally whoever is the not lesser player, but the like clear number 2, which I think in this Wolves team, Julius is like the Julius is like the point guard on this team, and everything goes through Julius, and it kind of has been all season. But Ant is so clearly the number one best offensive option that it's just this like tug of war match, which maybe they just figure it out in the playoffs, kind of what happened last season. But I'm kind of skeptical. I do think the Julius move for someone that just fits cleaner is makes a lot more sense. Do I think Boston would move off JB? I don't. I full disclosure, I sit next to sneaker reporter Travis Singleton at like all of the Wolves games. He's from Boston, started his media career in Boston, and like he has explained to me multiple times like what Jaylen Brown means to that city is just like a lot. Like I would be surprised if Boston makes the move to kind of get rid of the guy that means a ton to the city. Like certainly the Wolves did with Cat, but I think Jaylen Brown is just a better player than Cat. Like again, sounds weird when you say it out loud, but like just objectively really good defender, can score 30 any night, good playmaker, learned how to dribble. Like Cat has like serious flaws where I don't think Jaylen has as serious. Cole, I don't know what the says. I don't know what the team needs to help elevate Ant, but it ain't Randall. Like that's kind of been the moral of the stream. Like, is there a world where Randall kind of adjusts his game again to fit better next to Ant, and Randall is more of an off the catch shooter, more of a pick his spots post up guy? He's been playing fairly good defense. Like there is a world where it could work. It just, we haven't seen that world this season. Like this season, it has been just a lot of kind of pulling at the strings of the offense where Julius will kind of pull and be like, I'm the point guard. Everything runs through me. I'm putting my own words into his mouth, obviously. And he's kind of doing work out of the paint and throwing it to spreading it out to guys on the wings. And then there's the pullback from Ant of like, I am the best offensive player on this team, and maybe like the third best offensive player in in the league. I can do everything, so I need to be doing everything. And you just see that kind of give and take, just kind of pulling and batting heads at each other more than I think embracing each other, which I mean, Pack, you bring it up. Like, I don't know if he's going to change. Like, that's the thing. I think Julius has changed quite a bit since he's come to Minnesota, but I just kind of, he probably has 2 or 3 good years left as a basketball player, and then probably 2 or 3 years like being a role guy on a good team. Like I don't know if that's just going to be, I don't know if he's going to be like next season coming in like, yep, Naz Reid can start and I'm going to be a gunner. Like I think Julius is like too good to be at that point in his career. So it'd almost be more of like credit to Julius if he did it, because like dudes don't do that when they're still kind of in their prime. But yeah, I mean, Cole, he looks miserable adjusting. Pack mentality, I can't do another season. Like I, I've said it like quite a bit. Like Julius as a person, delightful human being, like really cool guy, like always has been kind to me and stuff like that. It does feel like he has had to adjust the most on this team. I mean, if you look at like what he was in New York, where he was a pillar of the offense, they needed him to score 30 a game. And if he didn't score 30, he was being eviscerated in the New York media. Comes to Minnesota, and it's like, hey, man, we need you to get 7 assists. Like, that kind of sucks. Like, that's such a left turn. Like, I think it's I imagine if he ever writes a memoir, he'll probably say like his best times were in Minnesota, but also like the most challenging times were here. Cause like having to make that type of pivot at this stage in your career is kind of obnoxious. Like, I do think he deserves quite a bit of credit for doing it as well as he has. But like, I do also think it's kind of suck. I think like it kind of sucks for Julius if I'm like to put myself in his body and I'm all of a sudden 6'8" and like super athletic and not kind of doughy. But like that just kind of sucked. Like, hey, I'm going to this new team on no notice. I have to change my entire game to make it work. And the things that I've been really good at my entire career just don't work here because we don't have the personnel. Like, I do think Julius should get a little bit of grace because like it's really been like a square peg round hole situation since he got traded here. Cole, we'll close with yours. Just what team would take Julius? I think there are a few. Um, I think if you're Dallas, a guy like well, and Farah, I'll bring in your point first. He probably knows he's going to get moved this offseason. Like that's the thing is like these dudes are on social media. Like Julius Randle is a very smart human being. Like he's looking at his contract, he's looking at the film every day. He's in there with Finch and the team, and I think he genuinely loves being here. Like I think he really loves the relationship his family has built with the Twin Cities. I think he wants to stay in Minnesota. But like these guys aren't dumb. Like I think the trade deadline where his name was in every trade humanly possible kind of sucks. Like, I do think there are things that are some truth to that of just, he probably does know that there's a really good chance for him to get moved this offseason. And unfortunately, in professional sports, like even though his family loves it here, his kids go to school here, and like he really enjoys his life here. He doesn't really have a say in it, which again, that sucks. Like it just sucks. Godfrey, real quick, thanks for popping in. Naz Reid is not a legit starting power forward. What teams would Naz be a starter on? Not a lot of playoff teams. I mean, I'll just be as blunt as I can before I get into the Cole's question. Like, I do think Naz is. I think if you had a good defensive power forward and you wanted to play small, Naz could be a starting center. I think if you schemed your defense to hide Nas on defense and had him as a wing, I think, you know, that could be like he could be a fairly good like starting power forward, small forward. But like if you're looking around like the contenders, like I don't think Nas is starting on Denver. I don't think he's starting on OKC. I don't think he's starting on this Detroit team. I don't think he would start in Boston. Like I think Nas is definitely a guy that would be in a top 8 rotation everywhere, but he's just not quite to that starting point yet, which I think if you're high on Nas, you think he just needs more minutes, more opportunity, more consistency. Maybe he'll get there. I think if you're low on Nas, you're probably like he's 26 years old. He only has about a year before he's in his prime. He kind of is what he is at this point. I mean, what I would say is like Naz Reid has been bet against his entire life, like grew up with nothing, made it, picked himself, skipped draft workouts to get signed by the Wolves as an undrafted guy, started off not being able to jump over a phone book, and now he's all the way over to where he is now. Like, I do think if I were to guess, Naz Reid is going to be a better version of himself next year than he was this season. I think, the loss of his sister and just like all of the turmoil around that, missing training camp, just, tough. Like it's really tough. I think this is almost kind of like in my mind, I'm almost kind of giving this like the lost season type of benefit of the doubt, kind of the same way I'm giving it to TJ of like, we learned nothing about Terrence Shannon this season. Let's give him a full offseason and see what he looks like at the beginning of next year. I kind of give Nas the same benefit of the doubt just because it's been so like packed with turmoil. Okay, so cool. What team would take Randall? I think Dallas would at least kick the tires on him. They have some contracts that they could move out. Daniel Gafford, there's some other things they could piece together. And I think if they choose to keep Kyrie, you could come in next year with Kyrie. Oh gosh, forgetting his name. Their center that is a lob threat that I can't remember his name. Derek Lively, that's what it is. You could come in with Kyrie, Derek Lively, Julius Randle, and Cooper Flag. And then in that ideal world, you were saying, Coop, you are our number one. Kyrie, you are our number two. Julius, you are going to be allowed to cook every minute they're not on the floor, but you are going to be the number three guy. And then Lively is going to be cleaning everything up. I think you put Lively next to Randall. It makes pretty good sense. Coop, better defender than I think people realize. Like he'd be able to help out on it. Like that to me makes sense. I also think Phoenix could be a team that's sniffing around Randall. You think about like Devin Booker, Julius Randle. I think if you're Phoenix, you're not inside the building with the Wolves. You're not like us watching every single game and play of the Wolves. I think you're looking at Randle from the outside and saying, hey, Devin Booker and Julius Randle, you know, we kind of got some young talent. Maybe we can get a free agent, get a big three here with Randle being the third. Like, I think they would take a chance on it. Pack Mentality says the Pistons. What I heard is the Pistons were more interested in like upgrading over Tobias Harris, but I don't think they need to do that anymore, just to be honest. I think they just have a well enough rounded team. Certainly they could like they can make the salary work and probably get Julius. The other team I'll bring up just quick with Julius, I think the Clippers. Again, you have Darius Garland, you have Kawhi Leonard, who, you know, plays some days, doesn't play other days. Garland is injured pretty often at this. Garland, not Lind. Garland has been injured throughout his career so far. And one thing Julius does is he plays through everything. If you're the Clippers and you have this foundation, you probably don't have to give up a ton to get Julius, especially if the Wolves are just dumping him for picks to make a different trade. Like, I think he makes sense with the Clippers. Like, I think as kind of being that workhorse, just chewing up innings to, you know, make a baseball reference. I think it could make sense. So I do think there's going to be teams out there that'll be interested in him. Like Randall is like a quality player. I think it's just his fit here with the Wolves has been so weird. As Kingabee says, the Wolves have been extra weird this season. Like I think part of that is like part of that is just the Julius of it all. Is it's just a really weird fit. Like it is a guy that is a scoring power forward that's forced to play point guard, kind of like Dante's a sharp shooting wing that's forced to play point guard. Like it's just weird. But I think I'm going to call it with that question here. Thank you everyone for listening. If you joined in a little late, that is no problem. Also, if you just clicked listen to give me the listen count and then run, also appreciate that because there is not a lot to talk about from this game. If you do want to listen to the whole podcast, though, it does come out tomorrow morning, the 29th at 7 a.m. As soon as I hit end stream, it's over on YouTube as well. And we will be back after the next game against the Mavericks. Hopefully we get to actually see Cooper Flag play. That would be fun. Been missing Cooper Flag quite a bit on these Wolves games, but we'll be back after the Mavericks game, hopefully with some more vibes. Last thing I'll say is if half of the team is benched, don't let them bum you out too much because it might be just they know what their fate is now. So we'll see where it goes from there. Thanks everyone for listening.